Hi, I'm Laura Gentry. I am the Director of Water Quality Research with the Illinois Corn Growers Association, and I'm also adjunct faculty at the University of Illinois in Urbana in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Sciences. And this web tutorial is meant to provide a brief overview to the new Regional Conservation Partnership Program administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resources Conservation Service. And I'm also going to summarize a new project idea that the agricultural organizations in Illinois, Kentucky, Iowa, and Minnesota are proposing for funding through the new Regional Conservation Partnership Program. Illinois commodity crop and agricultural organizations, that's Illinois corn, Illinois soybeans, and Illinois pork, along with the Illinois Farm Business Farm Management Association and the Illinois Farm Bureau, have submitted a pre-proposal to the RCPP, and we've been invited to submit a full proposal, which we are preparing now. And joining us as partners up to this point are the organizations that are shown here. That's the University of Illinois, Field to Market, Kentucky Corn Growers, Kentucky Small Grains, and Riverside Research. Our hope is that some of you will also be interested in learning more about our proposal, contacting us, and we hope you'll decide to join us with financial or in-kind support or with a letter of support for our proposed program. There's been a lot of buzz about this program throughout the agricultural and the environmental advocacy communities, and it really is a different approach to supporting conservation efforts in agriculture. The RCPP is a new program written into the conservation Title II of the 2014 Farm Bill, and it's really the flagship program of the conservation title. The U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Secretary of Agriculture, Vilsack, have hailed this program as a new era for natural resource conservation efforts, and that's the mission of this new program, to see more agricultural acres on the landscape implementing conservation practices that address the major natural resource concerns throughout the country, in that particular state, and in critical conservation areas. The program, as I mentioned, is administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resources Conservation Service, or the NRCS. The RCPP is a well-funded program to the tune of about $395 million for 2014 and 2015 alone. It was established to provide incentives and resources to put more agricultural land into conservation. But it's not really a granting program. It's really a cost-matching program for conservation efforts. There are two rules for monies that are provided through this program. The first rule is that every dollar that's requested from the program comes through NRCS and is intended to go to growers enrolled in NRCS programming. And the second rule is that for every dollar that's requested from the program, a contribution of approximately the same value has to be provided to support administrative and overhead costs, programming needs, and other necessities. This is where the partnership in the Regional Conservation Partnership Program comes into play. There is this explicit mandatory role for private partners that are working with NRCS. And these partners are expected to provide a significant contribution. And that contribution match can be as cash for overhead, salaries, or other necessities, or it can be an in-kind match of your time and your resources. So that's a little bit about how the program works. Now, what's our big idea? Get ready, it's a big one. It's big data management, and specifically managing big data in agriculture. We all know that as a society, this has become very important, that we are essentially a big data-driven society, and that there are entire sections of our economy now that are essentially a race for the data. And I think we need to recognize that there is a divide. There is data that is real data, and there's this information that is out there that's being called data that is agenda-driven. And we believe that when it comes to agricultural resource management, farmers have the real data. That's their financial documents, their crop insurance records, their yield data, their animal records. Of course, it's their agronomic management data, which includes their fertilizer applications, their seeding records and rotations, their manure application. It includes their soil test reports, their custom applicator receipts, and any programming document that they have for federal programs like NRCS. This is the data that tells the story about agricultural management and agricultural sustainability, and it is in the hands of every one of the farmers in our country. But these farmers are skeptical about who's looking at their data. They wonder, if everybody can see my data, is it still my data? And can this be held against me? Of course, is a really important question in their mind. Another aspect of this is that farmers rarely have time to compile and analyze all of that data when they're making agronomic management decisions, especially when they're making decisions about voluntary conservation practices. And their questions are, what am I getting myself into if I try this new practice? And what's the worst thing that can happen? And this is really critical because we have found that farmers who elect not to try a new conservation practice make that choice because of uncertainty regarding how it will affect their financial bottom line. And so we see a great need to bring together agronomic and financial information for growers to help them with their decision making, especially in regards to conservation practices. And in response to this issue of assuming greater risk by adopting conservation practices, maybe you're saying, hey, there are already these readily available federal programs like NRCS to encourage farmers to accept that additional level of risk and the additional work that's associated with adopting conservation practices. Why aren't farmers standing in line to take advantage of these services? There is a lot of work in terms of filling out forms and providing records, going back and forth to different offices that's involved in enrolling in these programs and in remaining in compliance. And for a lot of farmers, it simply isn't worth it, even if they do actually qualify for the payments based on their practices. So this is negative for two different reasons. Growers don't get the payments that they qualify for, and we have no records of the good things that these farmers are doing on their land. So we need a service. We need a service that helps farmers make good, financially based stewardship decisions for their unique operations. That means for their soil types, for their farming operation, their rotations, for their resources, and for their risk attitude. And we also need a service that facilitates the enrollment and compliance in conservation programs. And finally, we need a service that creates baselines and that measures trends for specific agronomic practices, especially conservation practices, because, in fact, we have only a very crude idea about the best management practices that farmers are currently implementing on their farms. And if we don't have a good baseline, it makes it very difficult to really assess whether we're making progress. And so this is our idea. It's very simple. It's to develop a program that is based around a data platform that has broad grower buy-in and that essentially inventories on a very fine scale, field by field, the detailed agronomic management practices that farmers are implementing. We believe that in order to get this level of data, to get broad farmer buy-in, there are 4 critical prerequisites. This has to be a farmer-led initiative. It has to be absolutely confidential. It cannot be tracked back to individual farmers. It needs to be third-party operated. No agendas, not selling anything. And lastly, it needs to be a familiar model to farmers, something they're already comfortable with. We believe we have identified a really great association that is willing to work with us in this. It's called the Farm Business Farm Management Program. It's available in 4 different states within the Mississippi River Basin: Illinois, Kentucky, Minnesota, and Iowa. Illinois is the most developed of the programs in the states. It's also the oldest. Illinois Farm Business Farm Management Association is a cooperative education service. It dates back to 1924. It was established by the University of Illinois. It's associated with the University of Illinois, but it's not part of the University of Illinois. It is its own not-for-profit entity. It was designed and currently still assists farmers with financial management decision-making. It helps them with their tax filing, but also with their retirement planning, their enterprise planning. And so it already manages and maintains all of these growers' most sensitive financial documents. In Illinois, this program is made up of 5,800 farmer members, and it's managed by 62 different FBF field staff that are located in offices distributed across the state. And the FBFM program represents 25% of the annual agricultural revenue that's generated in Illinois. So it's a good representative sample. And so, as an extension of the FBFM program in Illinois, Kentucky, Iowa, and Minnesota, I introduced the Precision Conservation Management Program. This is a farm management service that was developed by farmers for farmers to help commodity crop and animal producers. The purpose of this is to help farmers to identify the most feasible conservation practices for their farm, customized to their own resources, their own financial goals. The other purpose is to increase grower participation in conservation programs like NRCS programs and field to market. And lastly, the purpose of this program is to demonstrate what farmers are doing on their land now, how they're changing, and how they're continually improving. This is what this program was developed for and nothing else. We don't sell a product, we don't sell your data. And we get money from nominal member fees, grants like the RCPP, and contributions from foundations and organizations. How do we go about meeting these objectives? We have secure management of our agronomic records, professional agronomic consulting. We offer enrollment and compliance assistance with conservation programs, and we provide the aggregated, anonymized data for data analysis and reporting, which we can then give to NRCS or EPA or other organizations that are interested in seeing what growers are doing agronomically. So this is a broad overview of the program, Precision Conservation Management. We believe that with this program, farmers get professional consulting that combines their financial goals with their conservation interests. They get assistance with enrollment in conservation programs and the opportunity to make their good work for them. NRCS gets conservation across the landscape at a scale that they probably couldn't otherwise achieve. They also get more growers enrolling in programs, and they get assistance with enrolling growers in the programs and with the compliance. And finally, NRCS, of course, gets a cost match for all of these conservation efforts that they're providing. And we all get cleaner air and water, healthier soils, and a better understanding of how to make conservation work for all of us. But we don't get all of this for free. It takes a lot of time and effort and resources. Our budget right now is somewhere between $10.5 and $12 million for this program. So we really could use your financial support, your letters of support, your in-kind support, or small unmarked bills. We're also facing a deadline. We have a deadline of October the 2nd of this year to present and prepare and submit this proposal. So we're working towards that deadline right now. We hope that you'll join us in this effort. So learn more about us. Come visit our webpage at www.ilcorn.org/PCM. You can also learn more about us at our webinar on Friday, September the 19th from noon to 1. Or you can contact me, Laura Gentry, at 217-244-9165. We hope to hear from you. Thank you.